Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Christensen. It's too much empathy, dude. All right, we've got Jordan Christensen on the pod. Is that the breathing from Rugrats movie, dude? That's not from this movie. And we've got Cameron Mickle on the pod.
You're pissing on my people. Or I like so you're just gonna ignore the bear then? It's a bear. Way too nonchalant.
Or how about, hey, stop peeing on this ancient tree. I was just taking a leak. I didn't know it was a sacred tree.
Yeah.
I was just taking a lick. I really had to piss, bro. Dude, that guy reminds me of you, Cameron, also. So you look like Jim Carrey and that douchebag guy that got killed. I don't know why. But he's got angry eyebrows.
The kid
he's not
from
as
the
handsome
Don
as you are,
Treader?
Yes. Wait, Don Treader. Yeah. He was
also
the
in
annoying kid in there, and he was also a Maze Runner.
I do not look like
Maze
him.
Runner, yeah.
You're high.
Just a little bit. Maybe it's because you're tall. Maybe his hair looked the same as you, I think. Actually, that's what was throwing me. Guys, today we're discussing Midsommar.
Is it summer?
I don't know.
Somar?
I thought it was Somar.
I say Midsommar.
Some people in the film just said
I'm pretty
summer.
sure it's not Midsummer. I'm pretty sure the celebration is called Midsommar. So, this movie came out in 2019. It was directed by Ari Aster. Depraved, manic Ari Aster.
Yeah, psychopath. Holy shiz.
Psycho. Guys, let's get into this movie.
Jesus
It stars
freak.
Florence Pugh, who I know from Black Widow, which was surprising because, again, I liked her more in this movie than I did in Black Widow, even though she was less likable in this movie. How does that make sense? It also stars Jack Rayner.
Dude, talk about that's
Worst boyfriend of all time.
She's the definition of ball and chain.
What? Oh my gosh, Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron's like, man, what a downer, man. Get over your death of your sister and your parents.
No, I just think it's funny.
Stupid girlfriend.
Like, when he invites her, he's like, well, she's not going to come. And then she fucking comes. And I was like, riff.
It also stars Wilhelm Blumgren, who plays Pell, or Pelly, I can't remember his name. William Jackson Harper, and it's got our annoying friend, where is he? Will Poulter. Oh my gosh, guys, look at Will Poulter's picture. He looks so scary. He's got like a turtleneck and combed over hair. He looks so funny. Looks like a kid out of the 50s. It also stars Eliora Torchia, Archie Madicki, and Henrik Norland, and none of these other people matter.
You're nailing every single one of these names.
Well, dude, they got a bunch of crazy foreign, where's the Swedish?
Got
Norway?
a bunch of cult people out of literally
Swiss people.
just
Yeah,
Swiss.
cult people. They probably found real cult members, man, because I don't know any of these
They're just
names.
like, hey, we're going to make a documentary. You want to be in it? Yeah, sure.
I'm going to do my thesis. Why are you doing this, man? Do the thesis.
Dude,
All
yeah.
right, guys, let's get into this movie. What was
Christian is such a...
Oh, yeah. Worst boyfriend of all time.
He just
And-
totally steals Josh's freaking idea. And he's like, oh, this is my idea. This is our idea.
I'll do our own. We can collaborate, you know? It's going to be fine. We've got everyone on the pod. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with you, Cameron.
So I've only watched this. The first time I watched it was for the pod.
Cameron, will it be your last time watching it?
Oh,
There's a good chance that it will be the last time I
it's
watch
my last
it.
time. I'm not watching this again, and I've seen it twice. I'm never watching this
It's a
movie again.
bit disturbing. I watched it with my roommate Landon, and it was there was a few scenes that we were like, holy shiz. Like that, just that scene of when they're smashing people's heads with rocks and they jump. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, with the long hammer.
Hey, Cameron, did you
Yeah.
sit through the whole scene with all the women singing?
Oh, is that like the final scene?
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked up on IMDb.
It wasn't much of an although
Well, yeah.
I guess you could argue they were all in tandem and unison, but
But yeah, so I just what Jordan had mentioned that scene to me, and then I looked it up on IMDb when it was, and so I was kind of prepared. So and it hadn't happened, and I was like an hour 50 minutes in. So as soon as he it showed him in that room, like nope, and I just hit the skip thing as like 50 billion times, and I was like, I don't care if I miss a little bit of part of this, I'm not watching this shiz.
yeah. So I want to make a disclaimer up front about this podcast. I found this movie gratuitous. And for this, so I actually give a knock on Ari Aster. I think Hereditary is a much better film. I think this was a step backwards in my opinion.
Why? It's had the ending of Hereditary is the same
but
thing. Bunch of
anyway.
naked people with their headless bowing down to the Satan.
No,
What the fudge?
yeah. but
my
I
gosh,
still
you guys
didn't
are
find
sick.
it as depraved.
You don't find that as depraved?
So
You're sick, bro. You need help.
no, I really don't. No, see, that being said, no, I guess by movie standards, I wouldn't.
I think headless people worshiping Satan isn't that bad.
Naked headless people, Cameron.
You come at me all you want. Yeah, no, in the end, like, I just,
They're naked too? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
yeah, no, keep going. Keep it coming. These are just bouncing right off me. It's fueling my comeback, you know, when I come back and explain to you with facts and logic and reason, you guys are going to be crying
you're
to your
so
mamas,
annoying.
okay? What I'm saying is, I didn't really care for this movie as much as I wanted to, because I watched it the first time and I thought I really did like it. And I thought I would never return to it. Now watching it a second time, I definitely
really? I
liked
liked
it
it
less
more.
the second time, which is upsetting me. Yes,
I will never watch it again.
there were
so-
things I liked about it more. Like yes, yeah. See, I think it's interesting you say that. I consciously would say I would try not to watch this movie again, and I'm sure there would be some reason why I end up watching it.
Well, I think I
But,
would have liked it better if because now that I own it, I don't have to watch that really uncomfortable scene. But when I saw it the first time in the theater, I was getting pretty squeamish.
Oh, I wonder why.
So it's funny that you keep saying that, the uncomfortable scene. See, in Hereditary, like you mentioned, like there are naked people. Like there are naked people in Witch. There's naked people in a lot of movies that I like. Necessarily, a nude person doesn't necessarily always make me feel uncomfortable, but it always has to do with like the service of the naked people in the scene. What really bothers me about this film is like, I have a lot of questions, but I also like, I don't know how much. So why don't we just do the regular format and we can get into nitpicks, because I don't want to get in the way of like your favorite things. So real quick, I'll just say I really appreciate, the one thing I really like about this film is that how brilliantly bright lit it's shot and how beautiful it's shot, while it still has elements of very scary horror. Like we just talked about this in Suicide Squad. You can have dark material while still having bright colors and really pleasant music. Sometimes that actually works somehow to its benefit. It's like a reverse psychology kind of thing, the mental game that it's playing.
Well, yeah, it gives you that uneasy feeling because then it's like they're trying to cover you, like
Yes.
throw the cover over your eyes. Yeah, they're like, oh, everything's fine.
It's very beautiful what you're looking at, and yet I'm very disturbed, yes. And the second thing, I really like the idea that, like, on the outside observers, someone might view something as really
Yes.
barbaric and, like, a terrible thing, and then people on the inside are like, no, this is beautiful, this is tradition, this is that. Because, you know, like I've heard it said, like, I read the, I can't watch the movies, but the Inferno, the Da Vinci Code, all those, the Robert Langdon, he talks about symbols and religiosity and stuff like that, and I really like when he talks about, well, okay, let me give you some symbols, like, because people are like, oh, that's terrible, like, these symbols that this culture does is horrifying, and he goes, well, I will join you at the pagan solstice where we'll take part of flesh and blood, you know, and it's like, oh, like he's talking about communion or the sacrament, right? Like, yes, to an outside listener that doesn't know anything about the sacrament, you take emblems of blood and flesh, like, that sounds pretty barbaric on the outside, but once you understand the religious significance of it and what it represents, and it's all
and
symbolic,
that it's not actually flesh.
it's a
and blood.
beautiful thing, yeah. Yeah, and it's not actual flesh and blood, it's a representation of what the sacrifice, you know. So I think that's interesting, and I like those elements that are played with in this movie. So that being said, we'll get into some of the other things later. But Jordan, two of your favorite things from this movie.
Yeah, well, and I just wanted to say really quick, I saw this in the theaters the first time, and I loved it.
Oh, yes,
and,
yeah, first time I saw it.
And rewatching it a couple of times, so I've seen it 3 times now. And I'll probably see it again eventually. I know you guys won't, but
Jeez.
because my 2 favorite...
I choose not to drink the only orange glass at the table. That's
Yeah,
all I'll
what
say.
the fuck?
Not the only one with blood, okay?
I-
Yeah, no thanks. Don't need hairs in my meat pies. I don't need blood in my drink. I
Oh,
don't
man,
need
is
any
that
of
an effing-
stuff. Sorry. See, all this stuff I'm saying, it's like, again, it's just...
So I love
Yeah,
it
keep
because
going, keep going.
a lot of what you mentioned, Ty, actually very similarly. From the opening scene to the artwork, like I love everything. He built this entire set, like all these buildings Ari Aster built. Same thing with the house from Hereditary he built. Just reminds me of Bong Joon-ho building that home. So he could essentially film it exactly how he wanted to film it. And I love that. I love when
Yes.
a director really takes a passion to what he does. And, he drew all those really cool artworks and pictures, and some of them very eerie and disturbing. You know, the whole idea of eating this pie that hypnotizes you. But going off of what Ty said, the whole religious aspect is, I love the idea to them, yeah, it's not barbaric. And I mean, it reminds me so much of our religion, just so many things we do. If you tell people, oh, we do baptisms for the dead, anybody else would be like, whoa, what? You baptize dead people?
We dig up dead people and throw them in a pond of water. No. We just simply perform them by proxy. So we do it for them, right?
Yeah. And so
You're right.
it's just, and so there's so much religious symbolism in this movie. And I mean, so much of it reminded me of our religion. And Ty,
Oh my
I
gosh.
know, that's crazy. And most people probably were disturbed by it, but the scene where all the girls are screaming next to each other and the scene Ty was making fun of, actually, I got emotional. I cried. I love the idea of a religion coming together and they're all bonded and she found people that were like really connecting with her, where her stupid boyfriend treated her so badly.
But that's the thing. See, I'm like, anyone would have been more empathetic than that loser boyfriend. He's the least empathetic human being of all time. Is he not the worst boyfriend of all time? What a douchebag. Seriously. Holy
I
shit.
don't understand why she stayed with him.
I think Cruella DeVille is more pleasant than her. I don't know. I don't know why I said Cruella. Just anybody.
DeVille?
Like, freaking Jack Torrance from The Shining is more empathetic than Hereditary's boyfriend. Christian, worst boyfriend of all time. So I like what you're saying, Jordan. Yes, and this movie does play on that, about finding your people and finding empathy and finding healing. Cameron, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
Yeah, and also kind of just finishing like what it was like watching the first time. Like I think it was funny because Jordan told me, he's like, yeah, like there's a lot of parts of this that remind me of our religion. And then I was like, what the fudge? I was like, this is not our religion, at least the religion I know. But there were a lot of like symbolisms that I understand that like what he was meaning. But then I think two of my favorite parts, one obviously is the cinematography. Man, that upside down shot. As soon as it did that, like I was like, yep, you got me. I'm hooked. I'm paying attention. Like, holy cow, that was beautiful.
Ooh, he used an upside down camera.
It was just very pleasing. My second favorite thing is just goes into the music. I think the music, it's the same thing with Get Out, like that opening shot of Get Out, or when they're driving and stuff like that. And then you got the Swahilian music, and it's just like, it just sets the tone, just that eerie vibe of just like, what the fudge is this? Because then it puts you on edge for like everything else. And I just thought just the use of music and like of noise was just very beautiful. And just like, kind of like you guys mentioned too, the color scheme, just like the brightness, the aurora of like everything. I was like, holy shit, it's like, this is so like pleasing to the eye.
Very interesting.
Ty's like, forward.
I like what you're saying. And no. Because again, like I said, the one thing I'm going to say about this movie is just...
You can't tell me. This is like... Sorry, real quick. This is like Mandy, except more docile, I think, because it's like literally like the pretty color scheme. It's like the pretty color scheme, but like less like demonic shiz.
So I really like... There's a lot of things... I want to continue to gush about the things that I like before you guys think I just hate it. I really love the way that they shot the beginning where it's so dark, the colors are muted. Like, she has no one to reach out to. There's no one that understands her, and everyone is like talking through a mirror. It's really weird. Like, she walks into the...
Well, except that one guy, he's like, I lost my parents too.
Yeah, he's the only guy that she has a connection with, and I like how they staged it, because when she walks into the apartment, all four of the other guys are sitting on the couch, and no one gets up to greet her or whatever. But she walks in, and you only see her through a reflection, so the relationship they're having is, like, strained. She's trying to reach out. She's on a cell phone most of the time in the morning. She's trying to call people, trying to find some emotional connection. She's going on Facebook. She's trying to check these messages. She's calling out for a lifeline.
She's so sad and lonely.
It's horrific. She loses her sister. Yeah, it's such a tragic moment, and she's got no one except, when she finally calls her boyfriend, he answers, and he doesn't want to, and she's just wailing on the phone, and it doesn't sound pretty. It's very tragic, very sad. They do a really good job at that, conveying this emotion. See, and I wish they'd leaned heavily more into that, because I really like that aspect of the movie. What I don't really care for is the idea...
They leaned into that in Hereditary. Yeah.
So here's the thing where I think the movie would have been more pleasing. In the end, I didn't like the idea that, okay, so her boyfriend cheated on her, and it was just another thing for her to be upset about him, so it made it easier for her to kill him. And maybe it was the necessary thing to allow her to be like, I'm willing to kill him, or choose him to be sacrificed in his burning house.
She just stood there and watched it happen.
No, she chose the 9 people that were to be sacrificed.
Oh, that's right.
She chose the boyfriend. So, like... He brought him out, and he's on a wheelchair, and he's, like, dazed and confused or whatever. He's sitting in a wheelchair, mute, and he can't say anything. And she allows him to be sacrificed. She's the queen of Midsommar. She can choose whoever, chooses to
I
sacrifice.
fetching forgot that he died. Holy shiz.
He burns to death in a bear suit in that house at the end. While she cries manically and then stares off at the fire and then maniacally starts smiling at the very end and seems really pleased with herself.
Effed up shiz.
So again, that's the ending of the movie, right? Like, okay, so real quick.
She found her people.
That's the message Jordan gets.
Plot synopsis. So, a couple travels to
love you,
Scandinavia
Jordan.
to visit a rural hometown of fabled Swedish Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre, what does it say here? A bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Again, I liked the beginning elements of this movie. So, for example, catching him cheating. Like, the whole plot of these village people, they're like, okay, we've chosen you to be a good mate. Was this all just orchestrated by this cult so she would be willing to choose Christian to be the sacrifice? Does that make sense? Because in the end, they tried to get her away from the cabin. They didn't want her to see it. She's like, don't. And then she goes over there and looks through the keyhole and finds her boyfriend being unfaithful to this other pagan, or this village girl with all the other...
Yeah, but I thought he was hypnotized. It sounded like he wasn't...
In the end, he was stealing glances. They said that she has your fancy, and he's like, oh, that girl's super hot. Like, anyway, he wasn't an empathetic boyfriend. There was all these reasons to hate Christian. What I didn't like is, like, they just kept giving you reasons, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, in the end, I'm like, yeah, no duh. Like, anyway, I wanted
Christian... it's not a reason to burn him alive. That's for sure.
No,
I agree with that.
That's the thing, and it's not... Yeah, but in the end, it's like, okay... So how much of this movie needed to hinge on her being willing to kill or allow him to be killed to find grief and satisfaction at the end? Does that make sense? Like, I almost feel like her grief is not alleviated at the end, even though she thinks it might be. She's smiling at the end, but I'm like, I still feel like this is kind of empty because in the end, you killed the guy that like cheated on you, and maybe it feels good in the moment, but that's not cathartic in the least bit. And I don't know if maybe Ari Aster is trying to make a comment about that. But I think he is just saying that she found her people regardless of what happens and what she morally feels. Like, she's now cured of her manic depression because she is seriously suffering from all kinds of things. Her sister took her own life took the lives of her parents. Like, it's very tragic. Like, she taped the exhaust pipes and put hoses through the house.
Oh my gosh, that was some messed up shiz.
Very dark. Like, it starts very dark and it sets the tone for this movie, but then she goes into this whole nother world. And that's why I like what you mentioned about the camera. When it goes upside down, it's like, oh, like you are now traversing into a different world. Yeah, and it was well done. And it was kind of trippy to follow the road while it's at the top of the view of the camera. I thought that was really interesting because, you have those shots where the camera tilts and the car drives past it. But this one, like, shows the POV from the camera, and you kind of feel like you're traveling on a monorail because the track is above you, the road is above you at the ceiling of the lens. I just thought that was so weird. Like, a very interesting way to show entering into a new world that's foreign, and it's going to seem opposite of what you think is right. One thing I just think that wasn't...
I just think that's a comment, honestly, of how empty revenge can be, is like revenge is honestly like a fleeting feeling. It's like you can have that momentary gratification, but
the cabin's going to burn.
It's not long lasting. Like, that fire will eventually burn out, and so will that joy and satisfaction of that situation. And so that's, I kind of feel like,
you just got to burn another 9 people 96 years from now.
I think my biggest nitpick, I mean, obviously besides some of the disturbing stuff, is the the fact that everyone was just like, oh yeah, they just like went off or they're somewhere. Maybe just because I'm so suspicious, like, as a human being, and just don't trust anybody. I'm like, these mofos are so sketchy. I'm like, and people just start vanishing.
No, Cameron, he went to the train station.
Yeah, I'm like, you think...
There's only room for one ride in the car.
Yeah, there's no way. As soon as they told me that, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the F out of here. Like, you can't fool me, bro. Like, you got to make a scene, bro. That's the problem, is with cults and situations like that, all they want to do is just avoid a scene. So that's why you got to just make a scene, and you be like, if you fetch and touch me, I know you guys killed me. And it's like, you're either fighting them all off together at the same time, otherwise you're killing us all. Like, there's nothing, like, I'm not letting you kill me quietly in my sleep.
Yeah. I like that. I'll take down every last one of you. So I like I said, I don't want to harp on it too much. I just feel like it's gratuitous in the sense that it's like, okay, what does this infidelity have to do with her grief? Like, did she need more of a reason to think that her boyfriend Christian couldn't care less of her situation? Like, obviously it's the final nail in the coffin where it's like, oh, my boyfriend, on top of everything else, he's unfaithful to me. But it's like, I never got the sense that the faithful thing was even an issue, because remember, he already proved that he didn't care to tell her about anything, where she's like, oh, you're going off to, you're going off somewhere to Sweden or wherever they're going, right, to Finland or wherever it is, to do this Midsommar thing, and you didn't tell me about it, like, until now. He goes, well, I always said I wanted to go. And it's like, well, can't we just talk about it? And he was like, I feel like you're attacking me. Like, he's like,
Sounds like a
such
guilty
a freaking
man.
chick, dude. I hated Christian. I know, dude. He's like, you know I wanted to do this, right? And she was like, I know. Just, can we talk about it? Can we please talk? He was just such a and I'm like, where's boyfriend? And the idea that, like, she found her people, I liked all of that. I liked what you said about, like, all the women crying in unison with her, feeling her pain. They did it several times where the people that jumped off the ledge, everyone started yelling out in manic pain when they saw the guy suffering there, because they're like, we can all feel your pain. We're all here with you, being empathetic.
Or when the guy was on fire and they're all yelling.
Yeah, fire. The lady, she's crying in the house, everyone's crying with her, and then obviously the people at the cliff. So all these scenes were like, oh, like all these people feel, and they're more empathetic when the people that you have in your home life back home. I liked those elements of it. Like I said, I just, for example, like Christian, why is he needed to do this offering? Like, they're like, you have been chosen to be with one of our girls, and in the end, like, you were just going to be chosen to be sacrificed, but it all hinged on whether or not the girl would allow, like, the winner of this Midsommar contest, the maypole dance. Like, did they know she was going to win? Like, was that all anticipated? Was that all pre-planned? I don't think it was. Which is why, again, maybe it was. I just, like I said, it's too much is up to chance, and too much I like so little about it, where it's like, okay, come in this room, all these other women are going to enjoy it somehow vicariously. This woman, or it's just, the whole thing makes me feel super icky, and it's not even like, okay, is this movie a horror movie? Is this a drama? Because if it's a horror movie, naked people don't make me feel horrified. They just make me feel uncomfortable. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, it's awkward. Can you use it to your advantage? It's like, no, it's going to be this long, drawn out scene, and it's all for this. Like, I want to talk about disturbing. Let's talk about the baby man-child thing that they have. They use as a prophet that writes down prophecies and draws in crayon on this notepad and book. This child who they specifically choose for breeding. And they use it, and it's got this puffy face. I remember thinking, Ari Aster probably hates, like, physically deformed people.
Gosh.
Love you, Ari Aster, because he did the same thing in Hereditary. He chose the creepiest child actor. I don't know if she's really like that in real life. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. But they chose a creepy daughter for that movie, and then they chose this creepy person in this movie. Ari Aster has something about creepy people, and he doesn't even use it. But there's a scene where all the women are there, and he's lying. The creepy incest person's lying there watching them as they're doing this ritual. He's watching them. It's so creepy. And then they ask him, can I take pictures of this elder's book and this transcript? And he's like, no, absolutely not.
I knew. As soon as he was taking pictures, I was like, yep, it's been real. You're so dead.
Yeah, he's gone. Dude, I knew the moment when I found out he was black in this movie that he was gone, dude. Seriously, this is a horror movie. I already knew that was happening. So again, there were some motifs, there were some cliches. In the end, I just don't think it was scary enough to be a scary movie, and I don't think it was...
It was the perfect amount of horror for me.
Let me put it this way. I love Ritual. Or wait, is it Ritual? I like The Apostle.
Ooh,
yeah, and The Ritual.
We're doing those in October.
Those movies are very reminiscent of this, and I think The Ritual and Ritual did a really good job at showing past drama. It's literally the same thing. It really is like the same vein of movie. The Apostle with Dan Stevens and The Ritual are like Midsommar rolled into one. It's all three of those movies.
With Blair Witch, a little bit of that.
With Blair Witch, I like that comparison too. And like all the cult movies, right? If you watch The Sinner season 2, it's very much reminiscent of this as well. I like the cult. I like that they're super pleasant and all that stuff, and that no one did anything when these old people jumped off the cliff. I liked all of that. I like the slow build up where people are disappearing.
You might like The Empty Man.
I didn't care for
The
Empty Man.
It's like a cult detective movie.
This movie didn't scare me enough to be scary.
No, it was a perfect.
So
It was perfect amount of thriller. For me.
I didn't think it was like horror per se, but it was like
disturbing and thriller.
It's horrific.
Disturbing thriller.
Yeah, it's like See, I like movies that are very unnerving and unsettling, like Babadook, but this one bordered on the line of, like I said, gratuitous. And also unnerving, but it's uncomfortable,
Disturbing.
right? Like, it's like, oh, my cringe is like, that means it's really dark and disturbing. Like, I cringed and was disturbed in The Lighthouse, but it was still more unsettling and scarier than this movie. Does that make
I
sense?
disagree.
Not to say Robert Eggers is a much better film director, making The Witch and Lighthouse, but
I disagree.
Ari Aster, eat your heart out. I'm just saying, this movie I didn't find very scary at all. I'll be honest, I don't find
I was
this movie scary.
more scared in this movie than I was in Lighthouse, but I was pretty freaking scared in Lighthouse.
Interesting. But again, you haven't seen Witch and you haven't seen Hereditary. I'd be wondering what you'd think
Yeah,
of those
well,
two
you'll
movies.
never get my
which scared me
opinion
more
on
than
either,
Hereditary.
so.
Hereditary is still, yeah, I know. And Hereditary is much scarier than this movie for sure. And again, the drama in that movie is still remarkably incredible, Jordan. We've talked about that when we did Hereditary. Toni Collette's performance is unbelievable. It's like unmatched in this movie. And I think Pugh lady, whatever her name is, does a really good job. I just know her last name is Pugh. She was in Black Widow. What's her name? Florence Pugh. Pugh did a really good job.
Oh my gosh.
She did a great job. I liked her performance. It was very dramatic. But again, Toni Collette in Hereditary, it has all the same elements.
All right, we get it. You don't like it as much
I
as
don't know.
Hereditary. Okay, holy cow, move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you watch when you watch Us after you watch Get Out, you're like, are we losing one of the best directors of all time? It's like when you watch Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan. Is it going down the same road where it's like you had Sixth Sense and you had Unbreakable and you're like, oh, this guy's going to be the greatest director of all time. And then you had like Signs where you're like, it's good. It's not as good, but it's still really good. And then you had like Lady in the Water, which I still like. I know everyone hates that movie. I like it, but it's still not as good as like Signs and Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. Those are unbelievable movies. And then it's just like The Village and fetching
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What was the other? The Avatar. Oh my gosh!
Dumpster.
Like that was like a home run. Like, could anyone make a movie Avatar? They're gonna remake that movie and it's gonna be awesome. And it's not gonna be hard to do. I'm just saying. Anyway, how do you make a movie about element benders as bad? Anyway, that's M. Night Shyamalan. And I'm worried that Ari Aster is headed the same way. I'm worried about Jordan Peele is headed the same direction. Does that make sense? Like it's like you had an amazing thing to say with your first film. And your second one felt kind of like a knockoff and the B-roll of all the stuff. Like, this literally feels the same as Jordan Peele's
It does.
Us.
Like I still love Us, but
yes.
it's not nearly
It's
as
still
good as
good,
Get
yes.
Out.
I like Us better than Midsommar, to be fair. I actually like
Maybe.
Us better than Midsommar. But again, it has that very same feel where the first one, Hereditary and Get Out, was just this mind-blowing film. And I'm like, maybe you should try to take a break from horror for a little while. That's just my opinion.
Well, he even said, though, in interviews, like, that wasn't what this film was or his next film. It's not going to be horror. Like, that's just...
Maybe that's a failed marketing campaign where they, like, try to paint this as a horror movie, so you go see it.
They did.
And it's not supposed to be. But again, this movie...
I don't want to say it's, like, a religious film, but it's, like... I mean, to a certain...
It is more of a drama, yeah. But even Hereditary is a drama as well, even though it has horrific elements.
Like
in
I said,
it.
to certain eyes, like, that religion's considered crazy. But maybe I watched too many, like... really violent movies, but I was like, oh, this is just what they believe, like,
This
you know.
is normal.
Jordan's like, give me that hammer, I'll smash that old man's face in myself.
Yeah, Jordan would have been one of those unfazed.
Whack-a-mole, dude. I love too. There was really great moments. Like I wrote some notes here. I love one thing. So let's get into some quotes real quick. I love when he's just like, I'm just gonna lie down with you guys. Mark, can you lie down, please? When they're all tripping on mushrooms. The weird guy with eyebrows, the annoying kid, he's always yelling at me, can you lie down, please? He's making everyone really nervous. I don't know. I thought that was great. Trippy visuals. I loved, like, Jordan, it reminded me of The Apostle, the movie with Dan Stevens, when the grass is consuming him at the end. Like, she looks down at her feet and her hand, and there's like grass forming on her hand. And at the very end, she's literally consumed in a dress of flowers. Like, it was meant to be. Mother Earth was calling out to her. She would win the
like
maypole
everything's
thing.
like breathing, like the flowers are like expanding and contracting.
Yes, the weird turkey on the table's just like contracting and wavy and super
Great
weird.
visuals.
I love it. It's all unnerving, unsettling. Yeah, good visuals. Made me feel like I was watching The Good Dinosaur. What a dumb movie that was, except for the scene where they take mushrooms. I also liked the music. It also sounded like it too was grieving. The music, it was very, it did a really good job of setting the tone of a drama, which is what this is. This movie is a drama. I liked how the camera work was disorienting, right? And then, does he feel like home to you? I thought was a great line, which was uttered by the one guy that's trying to steal his girl. See, again, I'm like, what a sneaky bastard. Like, this thing only happens once every 96 years, and this guy, like, knew his calling was to deliver these lambs, kind of like This Is Us, where it's like, I bring these people to my cult family so they can be sacrificed. Like, what a... This Norwegian guy, he's like, he just waited for his moment.
Get Out? You said This Is Us. That's
Yeah.
a TV show.
Oh, This Is Us. This Is Us. No, it reminded me of Get Out. Yeah. Or the
Get
movie
Out.
Us, but more of Get Out, where the girl brings
Yeah,
boys
that's what I thought of.
to the family
I
so they
brought
can
'em.
like use them for their experiment. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. Where I love that. I love when there's like someone that has to instigate it, and like, but the idea was like, okay, they were going to write their thesis about this place anyway, so it's like, was he planning his whole life for this moment? Like, was he born and raised in this cult? Like, it only happens once every 96 years. Does he live there, but then just went out to school to go find people? Like, is that his only job? Does that happen every 96 years? So is it going to be his children's children that do that job next? Like, see, I have so many questions. And it's fine. It can be ambiguous. If it was yearly and it was like, oh, we bring people here every year and I have to find new groups of friends because I kill them all the time. I love that. Yeah, it's great. And I just love it too. Like, there's a really sweet moment where like they're all starting to have like, what was it called? They're having like empathy. And they're like, oh, maybe this cult is a really nice thing. And then they literally cut to the mashed in face of the old guy that jumped off the cliff. Like, they just cut right to it, and it like makes my heart jump because it's sickening. It's so brightly lit, and you see his face just all mangled in. It's so gross. So do you guys have any quotes from this movie? I've been talking too much. This movie makes me upset. It's unnerving, it's unsettling, but it doesn't scare me, which is why I feel like was its main objective. I don't know, was its main objective to make me feel something? You said you cried in it, Jordan. Do you feel an emotional connection to this movie?
Well, I just love the idea of connecting to people, like finding your people. I just think that's beautiful. I mean, I cried.
Through pies and drink. Okay,
I mean,
got
if
it.
you gotta, do that. What's her name do it in Harry Potter? She did that for like years.
Oh, what the fudge? Who?
The girl, remember that was
Luna,
like,
what's her name? Moaning Myrtle?
yeah.
Not literally.
Was that no?
What? No. It was Tom Riddle's wife, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Or no. Tom Riddle's
Gave him love potion
mother.
for years,
Love potions to Tom Riddle's
and then finally
father.
stopped doing it because she like loved him.
Stopped doing it, and then he left immediately. And so he was the son of he was a right? You
Yeah.
know?
So, dude, I'm saying, whatever you got to do.
You know.
By any means
Love
necessary.
potion. One thing I will give credit to, I really like the drawing at the very beginning. The painting, it literally is the whole movie played out. It literally, if you go back and just look at Midsommar painting, there's a few of them. It shows like all the pipes there's like a drawing of like, what's her face? And there's all these pipes, which are literally the pipes that are drawn from the exhaust pipe from the car. Then there's another image of all of them walking through the forest being led by the one foreigner guy that brought them there.
Oh, the whole film is in that picture. Yeah.
It's all in the picture. And then there's the sacrifice at the end, and then there's all these naked people around this one thing, which is obviously...
Well, I love when they are walking and seeing the bear, and then she's looking at the different pictures. It literally shows what's going to happen to her boyfriend. It's awesome. It's so fun.
Yes. All the things are like referenced in the paintings. And unfortunately, like I said, all the paintings, like a lot of them just have like naked people. It's really weird. Like really crappy sewn images of people
I don't remember seeing that.
with their... and their
Oh my gosh.
it's never in the center one. It's always the ones around it. No, I'm not kidding.
It's
Look
funny
it up.
you say that because you need to go to an art museum with Dad. Dad would just like be like, "It's art."
It's art. Like, yeah, it's just a bunch of in my face. Thank you. It's like, it's a fruit, but it's also it's like, I don't need this. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. A urinal in a museum could be art for all I know. So who cares? I just love one thing. Ruben, the disabled inbred child, was so creepy, and they didn't do enough with him. I wish they
What?
did more
He
with him.
smashed that one guy's face in.
What more did you want him to do?
Yeah, but you don't even get to see it.
I didn't want more screen time of him. He was disturbing. It's the ugliest face I've ever seen.
He wanted a scene
love
from
it.
Victor Crowley where he's outside the door and it's burning.
Yeah.
And hatcheted right in the face.
Hatchet in the face.
It's just the weirdest scene too, where it's just like, how do you feel about Maya? And he's like, what does he say? You've been approved to with her. The elders have approved or something. And then he's just like, I think I ate... The next words out of his mouth is like, I think I ate one of her beers. And she goes, that's probably right. Like, what the fudge was wrong with these people, dude?
I love tradition.
Oh, it's
I like
so
that they're
stupid.
like putting stuff under his bed and that's like starting this hypnosis ordeal. And I just,
Yeah.
it's so fun to see tradition. It's like, oh, when they reach a certain age, they commit suicide because they think that's a way to be like come back.
I also like the artwork that they did with all the cadavers.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, where like they had that one guy splayed out like a butterfly. His fetching lungs were still taking in air, like he was still alive. That was horrifying. I also like the tree growing out of the guy's like mouth. That was really cool. Like they like made these grotesque, gratuitous art pieces. And the one guy, they stuffed him as a scarecrow. I thought that was so great. for peeing on the ancestral tree, dude. Shouldn't pee on their ancestral tree. They don't like that. They'll gut you, skin your life. Oh, that was so freaky. He wore his skin. The freaking guy wore his skin like I wanted more of that, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of stuff. I like that, you know.
That's a classic.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter kind of shiz. I don't know. I like that. There wasn't enough cannibalism in this cult, you know.
I love it when you say stuff like that, and you're
end.
like, I was disturbed by this movie. I needed more cannibalism and skinning people alive and wearing their skins. And I'm like, what? And yet,
It's not pleasing to
Karen
watch
pie is whoa.
Yeah, that's too much. But cutting
And
them
wearing
open
their
and feeding
skin.
people the pies or
Yeah, I
eating
don't
them
mind that.
yeah, and wearing their skin. I want more of that stuff. That's depraved. That's real depravity. In the end, I would say one last funny thing was when the one black guy's foot was sticking out of the ground. There's like a foot sticking out of the ground. It made me think of SpongeBob, the episode where the health inspector
Oh my
comes.
gosh.
And he's like, something doesn't seem right. They think they killed the health inspector, and so they bury him alive. And then Mr. Krabs is like, something doesn't seem right. He goes, what is that, Mr. Krabs? And he's like, his head is still sticking out. His head's still sticking out of the earth. I love it. I thought he might need some air, not where he's going. That made me think of that. There's like his foot, this human foot sticking out of the garden. I don't know. I just thought that was really funny. It just made me laugh. So, guys, would you recommend her Midsommar?
Probably not.
No, I do not recommend this movie. I like it less the second time I watched it, which is sad because there were things I like about this film.
I think there's a lot of like cinematically a lot of beautiful parts about this film, but like
watch like a video essay on it. Way better than watching the actual movie. Oh, watch Wisecracks Deep or Dumb. That's a great video. It summarizes the whole movie. Like, is this movie deep or is it dumb? She finds solace with this cult, and she finally found empathy because her boyfriend didn't give it to her. But see, it's more exciting to talk about than the actual film itself. And honestly, I think the movie could just work without the whole cult. Just my opinion.
I disagree.
Oh, Cameron needs that cult. Yeah, Cameron needs that. It's very important to understand her transition of why she would kill her
Of
boyfriend.
Ari Aster's films, I think Hereditary is better. But, I mean, you also
Yes.
have to be able to handle such stuff. Sorry, Cameron.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, Cameron, I honestly don't think Hereditary is...
Well,
how do I say
I'm
this?
not
yes,
watching it.
it's mainly a drama.
Like, this
yes.
movie is disturbing. No, don't. I'm not telling you to watch it. I'm just saying, like, it's not much scarier, but it's somehow...
There's demons.
I
I'll
don't know.
pass. Think so.
That's hard to say.
Paranormal. I'll pass.
Yeah.
You tried though.
Don't worry about it. So, no, I'm not going to try to say... What I'm trying to say is, like, I think that, like, for... Like, you like... Have you seen Us and Get Out? You've seen Get Out, obviously.
I've seen Get Out. I haven't seen Us.
Oh, see, you need to watch Us, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on Us.
We should
because,
do that
again,
on the
it's
pod,
like
Ty. I
you're
think
a
we should
really
do
good
Get Out and
filmmaker.
Us as a double feature.
We should. Oh my gosh, yes, that'd be great. Yeah, Cameron, would you be up for that if you watched 4 movies in a
I've
week?
seen Get Out so many times. Yeah, I'd be down. I've seen Get Out. I think 9 or 10 times.
It'd be good. You can finally watch Us and be like, Jordan Peele is still the director. That'd be good Halloween stuff.
And we'll also do The Ritual and Apostle.
Yeah, see, I would be down to watch those 2 movies again. And that's what this movie made me excited for. So stay tuned. Midsommar is not as good as Apostle and Ritual. Have you seen both of those movies, Cameron? Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat. And neither of them are demonic.
The Ritual, Ty, should we not have Cameron on for The Ritual? Because that one's about witchcraft and stuff.
Have you seen Blair Witch,
Blair
Cameron?
Witch.
It's not witchcraft. It's
Blair Witch is so
people.
good.
You've never seen Blair Witch,
It's
Cameron?
a classic. I can't wait to do that one on the pod.
Cameron, you need to do Blair Witch, dude. And that's not about no demonic stuff. It's just it's the monster film, you know?
I mean, it's witchcraft, though. Witches...
Psychological.
Isn't this the same thing that Jordan was talking about, that Satan literally taps him on the shoulder, or is that the witch?
Oh, that's The Witch.
No, that's a different movie. Yeah, The Witch. So scary.
Don't say
Oh,
that.
it's so scary. I can't even do it. I can't even quote. I know. I get goosebumps just saying it. Okay, we're going to end this movie podcast by saying our email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Real quick, share with us the movies that you've seen, Cameron. Blast us.
Okay, so I've been kind of grinding.
Which means he's been hustling, folks. He's been watching a lot of movies.
I watched Top Gun with Dad. Finally, it was so funny because I was like, okay, Dad was like about to go to bed. I'm like, let's watch a movie, and he's like, I need to go to
Top
bed.
Gun.
And I was like, you've never showed me Top Gun. And he was like, and then he was like, oh,
Highway to the
which I'm not the biggest
danger
fan of
zone.
the love interest. I think Tom Cruise is way out of her league, but you know, it is what it is. And then I watched Mr. Mom with Mom and Dad. That movie is so fetching funny. I love it. I hadn't seen it in a couple of years, but so funny, dude. Fetching Michael Keaton, bro. 22, 23, yeah, whatever it takes. And then I rewatched Joker. Holy fudge! Because I didn't know. Because recently I've been watching all my top 100s because I have to at least watch every one of my top 100s at least 2 times to make sure it deserves to be in the top 100. And man, Joker, I even bumped it up even more. That movie's literally a perfect film. And then I
Wait
watched,
till you see Taxi Driver, Cameron, because it's based off of that. So
King of Comedy too.
and then I watched Drive. I rewatched that for the second time, and that made it into my top 100. And then I watched Moonrise Kingdom with Jordan, which was pretty fun. Not my favorite. Wes Anderson, Wes Anderson for me is like a slower Edgar Wright, and I enjoy the more fast paced Edgar Wright. But
he's more like Taika Waititi. I feel like.
He's quirky, but his stylistically he's
Well, then again, that being said, I think he was more like Taika Waititi, but he started to wane on me. He doesn't feel as much Taika Waititi these days. Like, I don't know. I really like Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, and my favorite, which is Bottle Rocket. Still to this day, I think it's one of his best.
That's
films.
Hilarious. It's a good one, but that's not his best.
Yeah, and then also.
Oh yeah, but well, okay. Sorry. What is his best then?
Fantastic Mr. Fox is number 1.
Okay, I said that. I said Isle of Dogs, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Well, you said Bottle Rocket is his best.
And that one. Okay, yeah, it's in the top 3. So you're saying those 2 movies are only better. Can you name another movie that you like of his better than those 3?
I like
Budapest.
Grand Budapest Hotel better than Bottle Rocket. Yeah.
Really?
Anything
Really?
claymation is garbage. So.
Oh,
Get out of here, dude.
claymation is
claymation.
garbage. Hey, Chicken Run is a
hate
great
Chicken Run.
movie.
It just give me PTSD. Like I just hate. Same with Wallace and Gromit. I hate just claymation.
Wait, is it the line that you are going to be a spy?
Dude, it's a great movie, but I just hate it. I honestly.
No chicken escapes from Tweedy's farm. Sorry, just had to go off on a Chicken Run rant.
You guys will be happy to know I rewatched Project Almanac. It's a 7 out of 10.
You said an 8, so you just dropped it again.
It's just very average.
So, quick question. Does it... Yeah, it's just an average film. But, Cameron, it's okay. Sometimes I watch movies at the right moment in life where you're like, this is my movie.
I did watch it as a senior in high school, and I was like, this is so
we grew up.
sick. And then
Yeah.
I watched it, and I was like,
It's perfect, yeah. This is what I would do with time travel. I would be popular
this
in school.
movie is like a worse The Signal.
I have tons of guilty pleasures in my top 100, dude.
Yeah, like
You guys are so
somehow
funny.
Jordan thinks
This is-
Day of the
this-
Dead
this-
is like a
this is
great
Dead,
movie.
top 100.
This just defines like our relationship. You guys will like crucify me if I have something stupid in my top 100, but the moment
Yes.
I take it out, you guys are like, you guys
Yes.
should
And then when
have
you
just
learn-
you should have just kept it in. Like
We
that's
shower you.
you love what you love, and I'm like, what the fudge?
You're so fun to tease, though. That's why.
I know.
It's like
Because,
Jordan.
yeah,
Anytime
you're
I
like
want to watch a
lion in
movie
cage.
with Jordan, I'm like, I want to watch this, and then it's like, no. And then I finally accept what he wants to watch. He's like, well, we don't have to, and I'm like, we're watching this because you just fought me for 30 minutes, and
Or then you start texting while you're watching. He's like, hey, Cameron, I just watched this movie. I'm not going to rewatch it for that.
yeah,
movie.
for real. Text for more than 2 seconds. What the fudge? You not like it? Or I start to fall asleep because I got 3
better
hours
be
of
paying
sleep the
attention,
night
Cameron.
before from watching movies with Jordan, and he's like, we could do something else. And then I started watching Outer Banks, which is like a really popular TV series kind of for a lot of college students. It's solid. Like, if I wasn't 21 and think the girls are cute, then I don't think there would be much to this TV series. But, I mean, I think the girls are cute and hot, and there's, like, a decent plot, so I'm like, I'm in. One of the girls, Sarah Cameron, is so fetching hot. Holy shiz. I'd marry her.
Is that the girl from, is that the blue-eyed girl from Monsters? Or wait, Love and Monsters? Or no, Percy Jackson, that one chick? Robin, or whatever his name is.
Let me check. It's Madeline
Blue
Klein.
eyes.
Let me see what else she's been in. She's
Dark
been. Oh,
blue
she was
eyes,
in
right?
Stranger Things. She's Tina. Who the f is Tina in Stranger Things?
Oh, I can't wait for the. Did you guys see the trailer for the new Stranger Things?
I saw the trailer for Stranger Things. It does look, I mean, I'll obviously watch it, but I don't know. They have to make up for what they did in season 2
I'm just excited
and
to
3.
talk about season 1, how it's perfect.
Yeah, I think season 1 was lightning in a bottle, and I feel like they keep trying to chase it. And I'm like, you need to expand your universe, and they're trying to, but it's like really slow moving and hard because they heavily rely on that nostalgia. But it's like, you could take this show in so many fun directions, but they're like, no, we're going to keep the formula, keep the kids. It's like, they're going to be grown up soon. Like, that Michael Wolf kid is already like
and I'll
8
tell
feet
you,
tall.
misleading the
Anyway.
entire audience thinking that you have the best like romance in the entire series, and then whipping out the lesbian card was not the move. What the fudge? They had such good chemistry, and and you do my boy dirty like that.
Cameron, chemistry takes many forms.
I'm into girls. Since when? What? Since like 30 seconds ago?
Cameron, you're just not in tune with your feminine side.
Apparently.
So Cameron, any other movies you've seen lately?
Nope, that's about it. And then on my watch list, I've been kind of narrowing it down since I've been cranking out movies. Just gonna watch more of Outer Banks. The Mindhunter is on my watch list. I really want to watch that. And then Richard.
Buckle up, because I started it and then I stopped. So
Okay.
I don't know.
And then The Place Beyond the Press looks pretty interesting. And Jordan told me to watch Project X, so probably check that out eventually.
Oh, I didn't say to watch it. I
Project
just
X.
said
Oh my gosh.
that you would like it.
No, that is. It's one of those movies you got to watch one time
Yeah,
and
it's
never
bad,
revisit.
but it's so good.
For sure. I'm on the pursuit of happiness.
I
man.
rewatched it, Ty, just recently. I actually like it
Kid
a lot
Cudi.
still.
I just love when he's yelling at his neighbor. I can't remember why he's yelling. He's like, "You motherfucker!"
It's so funny.
It's so great, dude. He's yelling at him about the noise or something, and they tackle him or something. It's so funny.
It's so bad. It's horrible. Like, kids actually got into so much trouble after watching that because they tried reenacting that party.
Well, it was based off a real party or something like that. I want to read
No,
into it and realize like what actually happened.
No.
I mean it's based off.
No,
yeah, I know
people
it was based off the
tried to
story.
do parties after that, and then
No, I know they tried to do it after the fact. It's copycats. That always happens. But what I'm saying is, like, look it up. It was based off of something. I know there was. I've only watched Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride Part 2. So that's what I've been watching over here.
Ty's life is boring.
Yeah, it is.
Those
I'm
ones are
watching all
funny.
these chick flicks. Although I will say, Father of the Bride is a very sweet film. Oh, it's very good. And it's weird watching it now. Like, now that you have kids, you're like, oh my gosh, that's going to be me someday. Like, the movie is very nostalgic now. I know why mom and dad like watching it so much because they have kids that have grown up and been married and had kids of their own. And it's like, oh, it's a movie about life and growing up. And Steve Martin is America's dad, you know.
And then they have their one disappointment child, Cameron.
That disappointment child, Cameron. So, yeah, that was fun to watch those movies because they were really nostalgic and I hadn't seen them for years. And then I watched This Means War.
Oh,
It's with Tom
jeez.
Hardy and Chris Pine and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, it
The
is.
movie's pretty dumb. It's really dumb.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate makeout movie.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. But if you want to go on a date, there's a really great scene where Tom Hardy's playing paintball with a bunch of people,
That was funny, yeah.
and the guy's like, he's like, oh, it's just a game.
I love when he drops a
the guy
grenade
in the
and a
face.
paint grenade.
He drops a grenade. All the kids are like huddled and they're like hiding. They're like, oh, they're like shivering in fear. And then he throws like this paint grenade and it explodes and paint goes everywhere. And then the guy's like, it's just a game. He grabs him by the shirt and throws him off this balcony. He's like, oh, ah. And then Reese Witherspoon gets up to him. He's like, oh, I was trying to help him. My gun's jammed. He goes, oh, it's because you have the safety on. She turns off the safety and shoots him right in the... Really funny. Yellow paint splatter right on his... It's just really funny. It was a great scene, but Tom Hardy was funny. And Chris Pine... Didn't really like him. I'm going to spoil the movie for you right now, so if you haven't seen it, tune this out. This Mean More is like a romantic comedy, a little bit of action in there. And she chooses FDR, Chris Pine's character, and it's very upsetting because I don't think he deserves it, and I like Tom Hardy's character better, so there you go. I'm sure there was 2 edits of the movie, and maybe they have a deleted scene or an alternative ending where she chooses Tom Hardy's character because I think that he was a better match. What do I know? I didn't write the movie, so. And then, of course, The Suicide Squad, No Country for Old Men, which I have to throw out on this podcast. No Country for Old Men is an amazing film. It's in the top 10 now, so watch that movie as well.
Yeah, don't watch Midsommar. Watch No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, I would watch Midsommar never again if it meant the only movie I had left was No Country for Old Men. That made no sense.
That was
okay,
actually
Jordan,
not
go ahead.
English. What the fudge?
It
You start
doesn't make
saying
sense.
words.
Basically, I said, if I never got to watch Midsommar again...
I would watch Midsommar if I could watch No Country.
I'm excited to see Ari Aster's next film
oh,
with
no,
Joaquin
I would-
Phoenix, though.
Yes, Joaquin is a nerd.
Joaquin Phoenix.
What were you saying, Ty?
Yes. I was trying to say that don't watch Midsommar. Yeah, don't watch this movie. No, I hate saying that because it's a beautiful
I
film.
rewatched because I was
Go ahead.
listening to all these interviews with Quentin Tarantino, and and he said he's going to show his kid the first movie he's ever going to show his kid is Taxi Driver. And so,
Gosh, of course it is. But he said it like this. And the first movie I would show my kid is Taxi Driver. I can't do his laugh. I don't know how to do his laugh.
it was great.
The guy's crazy.
So I rewatched Taxi Driver and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I like it just as much the second time as I did the first. And that's a film I think Ty likes more after learning about it than you did the first time. Because you told me the first time you watched it and you're like, oh, it's kind of boring. Maybe you still feel that way.
I was significantly underwhelmed. I've only seen it once. So I bet if I watched it again, I would like it much better. Because again, I'd be like,
We'll do it on the pod eventually. We'll have to do Martin Scorsese
Yeah.
movies. Holy crap, he's amazing.
I know. And to be fair, I definitely like Raging Bull. And I saw that one more recently. And I remember thinking, Yeah, I don't need to go back and watch Taxi Driver. Just watch Raging Bull. I don't know why you'd ever need to go
It's-
watch Taxi Driver.
I don't know. I actually
over Raging
love
Bull.
Taxi
I don't know.
Driver.
There's
I think it's so good.
Wolf of Wall Street's better than them all.
I put Blowout on my top 100 list. I love it so much.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, John
which
Travolta.
one's Blowout? Oh, that's right.
I love it.
I thought you said it was in your
No,
top,
top
10.
100.
So you said top 100 because I remember I did hear
Nope.
you accidentally say top 10, and
Nope,
I was
nope,
like,
nope,
"What
nope,
is this movie Blowout?"
I said Manhunter.
I didn't say it on
is
the
in my top
pod, but
10.
you said it in. Oh, Manhunter. That's right. That's the movie I was thinking about, though. Manhunter. What is this movie? Top 10? I am very intrigued, Jordan. Like, any movie that's in your top 10 that I haven't seen, I'm very intrigued. Let's just put it that way. Cameron, same goes for you, but you don't have any movies in your top 10 that I have
Yeah,
seen.
well, Heat is in my top 10, and you still haven't finished it.
Heat.
Yeah, Heat's in my top 50.
Oh, Heat. Oh, yeah, Heat. I started that. I didn't
So
finish
good,
it today.
dude. Greatest shootout of all time.
I do need to start it and finish it again.
No, it's okay. We'll do it on the pod. So just wait. Another movie that just made my top 100. It probably will fall off. It's at the bottom of the list, but is
Project
Super Dark
Almanac?
Times. No, Super Dark Times. I just watched it again for the second time. Guys, we needed to be talking about this movie on the pod because it's a hidden gem, and it is the most disturbing coming of age movie I've ever seen in my life. Like it.
Does it have the song "The Dark Times"? When you
No.
wanna fall- Oh, okay.
So right after watching it though, like the first time I saw it, I got rid of I used to have a samurai sword that I would cut watermelons with, and I threw it away because like this movie disturbed me so freaking much. This is such a good movie.
What the fudge?
Spoiler alert. Okay, look out for the katana sword in the movie. I'll be looking for it.
Katana, it traps the
This is
soul.
Katana.
Suicide Squad was great. I'll be watching that again. I'm looking forward to rewatching that and No Country for Old Men. I'll be watching both of those movies again this weekend because they're both masterpieces. I hope I'm not speaking too soon. I might have recency bias, but I really enjoyed
Edgar Wright next week.
Edgar Wright. What are we doing?
The
Cornetto trilogy? What are we
last
doing?
3 films of his movies. Getting ready for his movie in October. Last Night in Soho.
Everybody, this has been Future Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Check us out on Spotify, Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, all the social media sites. Please leave us a 5-star review, 5 stars, and leave us a review. Tell your friends and families that you're listening to this funny podcast, and we love you guys. Write us in
Keyword
if you want
funny.
us to review a movie. Tell us, was Midsommar deep or dumb? I think it might be deeply dumb. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Future Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Ah.
Oh, is this a hair?